everyone, this is Auntie Katie and with
Krishna.
Grace, and we are here today to continue the book Portia Dreams, written by Opal Palmer Adisa, illustrated by Wayne Powell, and that illustration is really from the book. All of the images that are shown on your screen as I go through the reading were done by me, Auntie Katie. And that was done so you guys would have some level of visuals as you also reflect on what I am reading to you so you can allow your imagination to take you on a journey. So yesterday we covered chapter 1 through to 6. Now we are going to continue to from chapter 7 to chapter 12. So in the event that you missed what we read yesterday or in the last session, this book is written about our former Prime Minister of Jamaica, the most honorable Portia Lucretia Simpson-Miller. And it really talks about her early childhood into her preteen years. So she had a wild imagination, and of course, she worked hard to achieve that. So in chapter 1, we looked at Curious Portia. We spoke about, what do you remember, Krishna, from chapter 1? What happened with Portia in chapter 1?
Portia was looking at a caterpillar on the lime leaf, and she had a rustle behind her, and it was so she spun around to watch a mongoose dart into the bushes.
Very good, great. And also Curious Portia in, chapter 1 speaks of Good Hope Mountain that actually shelters the community that Portia lived in from heavy rains. Also, Portia got to see a sour stop. And of course, chapter 2, we spoke about a home in Woodhall that is actually in St. Catherine. I did research and I found out that Woodhall is actually in Old Harbor. Also, for chapter 3, Portia was really excited. She was able to write P, and P actually stands for Papa and Portia. Chapter 4, we saw Portia being excited to go to school, and then when the time comes for her to go to school, what happened, Krishna?
She was scared, as she said, "Come back," and then she ran home.
Yes, so she got afraid and alone.
And she was saying that, "Oh my God, the playground's empty. Everybody got home."
Yes, so she ran home when she went to school the first day, and they found her sleeping in her papa's chair. And of course, she went back to school the following day, and then she learned rules, and that's what chapter 5 is about. What was the rule Portia learned?
She learned that she should always raise her hand before speaking.
Very
and
good.
I didn't know that in my class. And the first day when I went, I was excited, but at first I wasn't really ready to go.
Okay, that's nice.
And my teacher taught us how to raise our hands when we wanted to say something.
Very good. So it's very similar to a lot of schools. Whenever you're just in grade 1 or even in kindergarten, the rules are set. And of course, then we moved on to dinner time is family time. And that was chapter 6. Krishna, what do you remember?
I remember that when Portia went back to school the next day and she saw her teacher, and they learned the first rule. Portia went home and she raised her hand at the dinner table to say something, and her father said that she wants to hear about how everyone had a good day at school. And he said he wants to hear about Portia first now.
Very good. That was not her papa, but her papa, who is actually her grandfather, right? So Portia had a good time. However, coming home from school, she was tired, right? Especially as a little child. So now we're continuing to chapter 7. Portia says goodbye to Grandpa. Her grandpa's name in the story is Papa, but his correct name is James. Sit down, Krishna. So Portia's grandfather, Papa, liked listening to the radio. He would pull it close and lean his ear until it almost touched the instrument. Portia Faces Life was his favorite radio serial. Serial, I guess they mean series. And he often called Portia to listen with him, when she was home. Sometimes she would tell him about her day at school when the show was finished. Papa said she would be smart like the barrister lady on the radio. But her papa insisted that she was not named after that Portia, but the character in The Merchant of Venice by the great playwright William Shakespeare. Many nights, Papa kept the household entertained, telling them stories about his boyhood. He told them about Nani and Kojo, the fearless Maroon warriors who were said to be distant relatives. Who knows about the Maroons?
I do.
Krishna raised her hand. I do. Okay, tell me about the Maroons.
I remember that Nanny of the Maroons is one of them, and she escaped and she died a long time ago. And she looks more like an Indian because she wears something over her head and one of those dresses that people like Indians wear. And
well, she's not Indian, so that's
Yes.
incorrect. But she definitely
She-
dresses with in long clothes because that's what they
she's
wore
one
back
of our
then.
Jamaican here.
Yeah,
Heroes.
she's one of our
And-
Jamaican heroes, yes, but she's our only heroine. So that's what you call a female hero, heroine.
And she's the only one that is a female.
Very good. And you saw her tombstone at where?
In Emancipation Park.
No. National Heroes Circle. That's
Yeah.
where.
But I was the that.
Yes, it's not Emancipation Park. All right, so you can actually see the tombstone of the heroes at National Heroes Circle. So let's continue. So Papa shared the room with the boys who sometimes teased him that he snored louder than a train. Papa was an integral member of the Simpson family who taught his grandchildren many lessons, although he was now old and sickly and needed help to feed himself. It was a sad surprise when coming home from school one Thursday evening, the children were met at the gate by Mama Min. Who is Mama Min?
She is Portia's mother.
Good girl. I go sit under the mango tree over there, she said sternly, pointing. Perplexed, the children obeyed, but when they saw her tear-stained face, they cried out in unison, Mama, what's wrong? Mama Min covered her face with her hands and muttered, You can't go inside yet. Then she wiped her face and spoke in a calm, flat tone. When I tried to wake up Papa, he would not wake up. Papa dead. The older girls began to cry. Although Portia didn't quite understand what Mama meant, she hugged her around the waist as the tears flowed. Portia clutched her mother tighter. When she saw Papa strolling towards them from the veranda, Portia ran and hugged his leg. He too looked as though he had been crying. Putting his hands in his pockets, Papa looked towards the hills. Papa just dead, so. Just so. Dead, Papa said. His hands moved from his pockets and he ran them through his hair. There was no joy in his eyes. Portia slipped away and ran inside to tell Papa what she learned in school, as she often did. The bedroom door was locked. Their neighbor, Mass Tyrone, stopped her at the door. I want to tell Papa evening, she said. Go outside, Miss Ted. Mass Tyrone sounded cross. When somebody say you sound cross in Jamaican language, in the dialects of that, it means you're angry, you're upset, you don't want to have a conversation at that moment. You want to just take the time to calm down. But I want to see Papa. Sorry, but I want to see Papa, Portia insisted. Mas Tyrone turned away and went back into the room, closing the door behind him. A bewildered Portia stood until Ted Roy came, took her hand and led her outside. They sat on the steps. Where is Papa Ted? She asked her brother. Papa gone. You can't talk to him anymore. Portia did not understand what he meant. Papa was buried on family land near the house 4 days after he died. The day he was buried, rain fell in barrels and mud was everywhere. The crowd of mourners was soaked through. They took shelter wherever they could, some using huge banana leaves as umbrellas. From the day Papa died, people Portia had never met came crying, laughing, and talking loudly. Mama Min had to have two ladies help her to cook. A week and 2 days later, they held a night for Papa. Women cooked the yam, sweet potato, and pumpkin that Papa had brought back from the field. Men peeled sugar canes and cut coconuts. People piled into the yard. Soon men with drums arrived, and people sang and danced and told stories about Papa until way into the night. After the mourners had made their way home, Mama Min made cocoa and sandwiches, and the children sat around and cried. The boys refused to go into the bedroom they had shared with Papa. Papa said it was okay for the boys to pull their mattress into the dining room for a few nights. Portia insisted she wanted to sleep in the dining room too, so Mama spread a mat and sheet, and Portia curled up next to the door. Portia missed not seeing Papa every day, but she still felt him close. Portia did not understand why Papa was dead. Papa held her hand very tightly in his. In the midst of life, there's always death. My papi has crossed over. Portia's father said, pouring a drop of white rum on the ground, a tradition known as pour liberation for the ancestors. Portia began to cry. Goodbye, Papa, goodbye. I will never forget you, she muttered. So I want to pause right here, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Portia's grandfather has died. A lot of children, when they're small or at a tender age, they don't even understand what death is. I remember when my dad passed away a few years ago. Krishna was just 4 years old. She didn't really understand, but she knew that he was gone. Yeah, he was gone, right? Because of the conversations that were there. I want to make note that back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even for some people in the early 70s, they would not really explain things to the children. It's not like no, where children are privy to information because of technology and because of how parents now are growing their children. Back then it was way different. I have come across a lot of older people who they will say that their parents didn't teach them a lot of these things because it was a case where children could not ask questions. And we saw that in chapter 1 to 6, where Portia's dad said to her, girls should not play with cars and girls were not able to do certain things. And Portia had questions like why, but of course she could not oppose her dad because it was not a thing back then while they grew up where they could ask questions or even share their opinions. But parents nowadays of the 21st century, I'm gonna say, we grow our children differently, especially our Gen Zs. They're grown differently. Also, I want to make reference to the fact that when someone say 9 nights, it's the 9th night since a person has passed away that you typically have a celebration where you talk about the person's life. So that's what they were doing there. What would you like to share, Krishna?
I remember that in the story, Portia didn't did not understand why girls couldn't play with cars or why girls only couldn't go anywhere they want. All they could do was go to church and school.
Very
And
good.
boys could go all over they want.
Yes, so it was
Exactly.
different back then, right? So I'm not sure if any of you guys have like older grandparents or great grandparents. You can probably ask them what it was like growing up for them in Jamaica. Did they have the privilege of asking questions and getting answers, sharing their own opinions to things? And let me know what happens in the comments. All right, so now we're over into chapter 8, A Day in the Field. Papa owned acres of land in which he grew many crops such as yam, okra, sweet potato, pumpkin, garlic, scallion, peanuts, cassava, bungo peas, sugarcane, and sorrel. His field was more than he could manage alone. So other men who lived in the community often helped him plant and reap. As his sons grew older, he insisted that they help him on Saturdays, while the girls helped their mother around the house. Portia did not like helping with house cleaning and wished she could go to the field with her papa and brothers. Luck was on Portia's side one day when Mama Min had to go to Kingston. Papa decided that the children would accompany him to the field rather than stay at home and get into mischief. He woke them when it was still dawn and the air was cool. Papa told the boys to fill 2 large bottles with drinking water and the girls to make sandwiches. He told them to put on old clothes. Mama Min had made 2 large pots of cornmeal and hominy porridge, as well as dumplings for breakfast. So hominy porridge is really corn porridge. So you can have the corn, there is gonna be grainy, so you may have it in large grains or sometimes half grain or quarter grain in that regard. It's very nice. So y'all can check that out too and let me know if you have ever had hominy porridge. So going back, Mama Min had made 2 large pots of cornmeal and hominy porridge, as well as dumplings for breakfast. Half awake, the children drank the hot porridge, Portia complaining that it burned her tongue. She wrapped her dumpling in a piece of paper and tucked it in her pocket. Finally, they were ready and Papa marched them out of the house. The boys carried the water, cups, and machetes. Ezekiah carried 2 machetes, Papa and his, while Papa carried Portia on his shoulder. Apples clung onto Eileen's back while the other girls carried the sandwiches and crocus bags so they could sit in the shade of a tree when it got too hot. Papa's field was some distance away, so the family rambled along, singing and humming like they did on Sundays when they walked to church. All the morning birds were out. Robins, smoothbills, woodpeckers, and screeching wild green parrots soared and chased each other. Butterflies and mongooses darted through the bushes. Latanas, bright red lorax, blue maho, tall royal poinciana trees and ferns burst from among the trees and weeds. Portia loved flowers and birds, so she begged Papa to put her down so she could chase after them. About 20 minutes later, they arrived at Papa's field just as the golden sun rose above the mountains. Papa's field extended beyond what their eye could see. Papa pointed to an area and told the boys to dig up the weeds and clear the spots. He walked the girls to a patch that had already been weeded and showed them how to plant thyme and scallion. Please give me one of the machetes, Portia asked Ezekiah repeatedly. No, go over there with the girls. He pointed to their sisters on the other side. Portia pouted and went around instead, pulling up weeds. She pulled one weed and hanging from its roots were small wiggly pink worms. Portia dropped her stick and squealed. She was terrified of the worms even though her papa had said they were food for the soil. Lizards and earthworms were the 2 creatures that Portia did not like. Papa, she went pleading. Papa, Ezekiah won't give me a machete to use. You're a girl and you're too small, her papa said, ignoring her. One day I'm going to prove that it doesn't matter that I'm a girl, Portia muttered to the guava tree. So Portia, she's very confident, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and she wants to challenge people. She wants to challenge things. And that's exactly what she's going to do as she grew older. And that's the reason why she was able to become the first female prime minister of Jamaica and also the first female prime minister in the Caribbean, because again, she beat the odds. She broke barriers for other females to know it is possible, right? So she is very curious. She wants to know things, and at the time there weren't much answers. There's a saying that say I can't remember it, but it's a saying. I don't know if maybe you guys will know it or hear someone say. It's like, and I don't think I'm gonna quote it properly here, but it's like children should be seen and not heard. I think that's it. Children should be seen but not heard. Something like that. Y'all can let me know if I'm correct there about, but yeah, it was a big thing back then. Anyways, back to the story. Her sister spread the crocus bags under a tamarind tree and gave her a jack's ball to play with, warning her not to lose it. Portia and Apple rolled the ball back and forth and giggled. Then Apple fell asleep and Portia stood up and surveyed her papa's field. Papa always said growing things was important. Everyone should grow something to eat. You don't need a big piece of land, he insisted. Mama had her own garden where she grew thyme, parsley, tomatoes, mint, and cerasee. So mint and cerasee are tea bushes. Like you have some people who drink thyme as a tea for like belly pains and stuff. Parsley is also something that people drink as tea. So it varies. And of course, tomato is what you cook with. So Portia loved watching things grow, and after inspecting her sister's planting, she ambled to where her brothers were digging and got a chance to use the hoe. Although it was heavy, she beamed with pride and shouted, I know how to hoe, I know how to hoe. I am strong, her father issued a warning to her brothers, so Portia drifted back to where her sisters were planting. She's very brave because I'm in my 30s, and I've never used anything like that. They always say, because growing up, there's a saying that eat what you grow what you eat what you grow what you eat, something like that. But I don't really like, personally, I don't like to farm. But I appreciate it and I love when I see people planting and stuff. I might plant corn because I've done that in the past. That's not the only thing I like planting, because I love corn and it's a cash crop. It comes in like every 3 months if you plant it. So I love that. Anyways, back to the story. So after Papa finished the story, no, so when the sun was straight up in the sky, Papa told them it was time for lunch. They found Portia asleep with the ball clutched tightly in her palm. While the children ate, Papa told them a story about how Nancy tricked Yam into growing fast. After Papa finished the story, Portia blurted out, why did Nancy loves to trick everyone and not work? When I meet Nancy, I'm going to make him work as hard as Mama mean and help her around the house. They all laughed before turning to playing riddles and racing with the crocus bags. Portia was the judge and declared her sisters the winner. After lunch, the children sprawled out on the crocus bags and slept. They woke up to the sound of Papa hoeing. While they napped, Papa had plowed an entire field. The children were happy to help him water the vegetables. Then it was time to pack up and head home. Eileen was happy and announced that work in the field was too hard. Jarell touched her father on the arm. Papa, how come you are happy to work so hard? Papa looked out at his field. It is a special thing, planting a tiny seed and watching it grow. This is a miracle to me. I am thankful that I can grow things and feed my family. That makes me real special to be able to take care of my family. He beamed. Papa, I'm going to take care of you when I grow up, Portia pronounced as they headed home. So, what are your thoughts, Krishna? What have you learned from chapter 8, A Day in the Field?
Well,
Krishna says, I don't remember.
I was actually going in the kitchen, so I didn't hear properly everything that you were saying.
Okay, so in chapter 8, we spoke about a day in the field where the father has a lot of land and the children went to help him. All right, so now we are moving on to chapter 9, Sundays for family and community. And we're seeing where Portia is going to be getting bigger. She's growing. So all the children on Sundays got dressed and went to church. Mama Min inspected their clothes and shoes to make sure they were all clean and neat as they headed out the door. They walked in pairs, Portia in front with her sisters, the boys in the back. Portia enjoyed the singing, especially Jesus Loves Me, This I Know. That's a well-known song by children. Let me know if y'all know it.
And I used to sing at my basic school, and I still sing it at my basic primary school.
Good girl. All right, so sometimes the pastor went on, and she did not understand everything he was saying. A few times she fell asleep. Sometimes she looked through the church window and imagined a bird flying to some faraway place. She looked forward to the end of the church service, talking with her friends and the way back home. So I don't know about y'all, but when I was growing up and I went to church, I also enjoyed going to church. But of course, once I reached, I just dread for church. And for years, I used to say, Christian says her too. For years, I found like, I guess I am so unholy. Why I feel that way. But listening and reading this, it's like, well, I ain't the only person. A lot of people, a lot of children also feel the same way too. So dinner was early on Sundays than during the week. There were always two choices of meat, chicken and beef or chicken and pork, with rice and peas, yam and vegetables. Mama Min often baked sweet potato or cornmeal pudding. Ted Roy loved Mama Min's pudding and pleaded for the largest piece. Mama Min had to tell him several times to sit down and be quiet or risk not getting any. He looked at Portia and winked. That meant if she could not eat her share, she was to offer it to him first. That is very good.
So he doesn't have any, she has a slice and she doesn't want hers, that she gives it to him?
Yes, even if he has his, she can still give it to him. When I was growing up, and this is just a side story, ladies and gents, boys and girls.
She can just cut piece for him and make this side for her equal and this side for him equal.
Or
like
whatever she doesn't want, then she just gives it to him, a piece of it.
Like a fracture. Sure.
Fraction. Yes, good girl.
Yes, so I have a cupcake and I want to share a piece with you. I just cut it in half and the equal it makes for one for you and one for me.
Good. Thank you for sharing. Great. All right. So when I was growing up, I remember I would have my chicken leg. I remember this one as I read the book and I remember one day as a child, I was around 5 or 6. I don't think I was 6, but maybe 5. And my mother and my brothers, they always tell me, so clearly I grew up here in the story, so I must remember it. And I had my chicken leg. I only eat chicken as meat. And I had it and I was teasing my second brother. No, I'm a middle child. So I have 2 older brothers, 2 younger sisters. And I was teasing my second brother and I kept teasing him and teasing him. And next thing you know, he pulled away the chicken leg from me. When he pulled the chicken leg away from me, he took it. And I started to cry. No, again, I grew up hearing this story and I must remember it because how much times. And yes, I told you before. And you know, I cried and I was like telling my mother to let him give it back to me. And my mother said to me, no, because I was teasing him, right?
Yeah.
So I lost it. So I learned from a young age not to tease people. So it was a funny thing. I
And
still
it
think
was
about
so
it now.
bad.
Yeah, so when I think about this, I'm like, you know, Tedra and Portia, they had a good relationship, I'll say, because, you know, he's winking like, give it to me, give it to me. You know, in that case, but my brother, no, I was teasing him, so he just took it and stuff. Not saying my brother and I, we don't have a good relationship. We're very close. We're a close-knit family. But this story just really just brings back memories, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the story, ladies and gents, boys and girls. So Papa said grace as he always did at Sunday dinner. Has Mama Min begun to serve the food? Papa quizzed each child about the songs they sang at church, the preacher's message, who was at the church, and what the children saw on their walk to and from church. Mama Min would often ask them to sing one of the hymns, and she would join in as they applauded her lovely soprano voice. When dinner was over, the children washed and put away the dishes before they went to play. On many Sunday evenings, the neighborhood children of all ages would gather in Portia's yard. One fruit or another was always in season. There was plenty of yard space to play. Portia loved it when they played ring games, especially the farmer in the den. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but that's a game that we used to play as a child. One Sunday, by the time it was her turn, all the animals she knew were already taken. There were hundreds of pale yellow butterflies hovering around the lignum vitae blossom, so Portia shouted, "Butterflies!" "It can't be a butterfly," another child shouted. Portia insisted that Papa's field was always filled with butterflies. "You ever see any farmer raise butterfly?" one boy insisted. Portia persisted, "Butterfly, butterfly." A host of butterflies swooped in. "What sound does a butterfly make?" asked one of the girls. Portia knitted her brow. "Soft sounds," she shouted, dancing around, flapping her arms. I can just imagine Portia's face as a child.
Yes,
Literally just
love
like, what you
butterflies.
mean? Yeah, I know.
And sometimes I act like I'm a flying bird. So I run and I flip my hands like I'm a flying bird because I just want to fly in the sky.
Well, that's
I
good.
get a little ice cream.
All right, so after a while, the others joined her and the game continued to include croaking lizards. All the children croaked and fell over each other laughing. Afterwards, the children sat under the jacaranda tree with its vibrant purple blossoms telling stories. The children separated into groups. The girls played jacks or checkers on the veranda, and the boys played cricket in the road with bats they made from coconut bowls. Most of the children's toys were made from things they found all around them. Portia flew kites they made from old newspapers, brown paper bags, and starch from their mother's kitchen, bamboo and old clothes. They climbed the highest hill, stuck their fingers into their mouth, and held the kites in the air to test the direction of the wind. Sometimes the kites got tangled in the treetops or torn up by the wind, but it was always lots of fun running and shouting and watching them rise. After dinner, the children attended Sunday school. They often visited different churches. Papa said it did not matter where they praised the Lord. This is very interesting. It brings back a lot of memories for me.
And me.
Yeah, like I really think like these Gen Zs, they're not experiencing what people of the other generations experience. In regards to like the fun of not necessarily having technology, but just being able to bond with other children. Because I grew up where my cousins and I, along with my siblings, we would play crickets on Saturdays and Sundays. No, I often tell people when I bat the ball, because I love to laugh and I have short legs, because I bat the ball and I bat the ball fast, I'd be laughing. So clearly nobody wanted me on their team because again, I can't run that fast because my legs are short. And when I start to laugh, it slows me down. So it does remind me of those things as I read, the girls played jacks or checkers on the veranda, and the boys played cricket in the road with bats made from coconut balls. So we made our bats also from that and also from board. So it was good. It was good. We didn't play in the road. We played in the yard that I live. So it was good. As a female, as a little girl at the time, I don't know how to play jacks. My mother taught me, but I did not learn it well. Krishna can play jacks because a friend of ours taught her how to do it. And I think my mother also taught her when she was small. So a lot of these things are relatable. I don't know about you, but I can definitely relate, and I'm enjoying this book, I have to say. I really, really enjoy it, right? Over to Portia's Big Dreams, right? And we're in chapter 10. Wow. So Mama Min encouraged her children to dream. Dreams are the trees you grow to shelter under when it rains, she told them. Actually, I've never heard that one before. Dreams are the trees you grow to shelter under when it rains. Mama Min, what does a tree and rain have to do with dreams? The children asked. Portia never questioned her mother. She just went about dreaming, or walking as if her head was in the clouds, as Pedroy would say. Portia dreamed of the things she wanted to do and of helping others. Some of her dreams happened in her sleep, and others while she was alone, looking up at the sky or staring at the mountain. Once she dreamed she was on top of the Blue Mountains, and a golden swallowtail butterfly perched under her shoulder and sat there for a long time. As she breathed as quickly as she could, the butterfly flew away, gliding around her head. She loves butterfly, I will say that. Just like Krishna. Another time she dreamed that she was at the Raya Cobra, sitting on a large stone surrounded by children, giving each a juicy red Otaiti apple. And that's a Jamaican apple, by the way. Portia told her siblings what she dreamed about, but only Ted Roy did not tease her. When anyone teased Portia about her dreams, Mama Min scolded them. Leave Miss Ted alone. One of these days, her dreams are going to come true. Her father defended her too. Miss Portia knows achievement begins with dreaming. And this sounds very simple, ladies and gents, boys and girls. And I've never heard most of these things before, I'll say that. But it resonates with me. Miss Portia knows achievements begins with dreaming. And a lot of us have dreams. And we want our dreams to become a reality. Most of them, not all of them, because sometimes you get dreams and you don't want them to become a reality. Sometimes you have dreams that you really don't want to become a reality. And then you have others that you desire and you look forward to becoming a reality, right? So this is very impactful, I'll say. Miss Portia knows achievement begins with dreaming. So have that dream and work towards achieving it. I think that's what he was trying to say. So Portia's favorite dream was one in which she was in a field surrounded by hibiscus, and all around people clapped and shouted her name. It's like she was seeing things before she even got there. Because I'm being honest, like, oh, she has had a life. I'll say that. When she was 10 years old, Portia dreamed that she was standing in the empty schoolyard when a man appeared by the schoolyard. He was seated on a beautiful brown mare. He had long, silky hair falling to his shoulders. Taking off his cap and bowing his head, the man spoke in a strange voice. I am your grandfather, Portia. Portia looked at him, but she did not recognize him. Papa is my grandfather, she replied in her dream. The man on the horse continued, keep good company because one day you will be great. I will make sure no evil befalls you. Then he turned and rode away. Portia looked for a long time but could no longer see the man. what the man said concerned her, so she didn't share the dream with anyone. 2 days later, while helping Mama Min take clothes off the line, Portia told her mother about her dream. Mama Min, I had a dream about a man who said he is my grandfather. Mama Min paused, stuffed the clothes in the big enamel basin, and pulled Portia to the bench beside the kitchen door. What did the man look like? Portia squeezed her eyes tight to bring back the image of the man in her dream. He was tall and white and was sitting on a beautiful brown horse. After a while, Mama Min muttered, "That's my papa. It is your grandfather for sure." Portia had never met her mother's father, and her mother didn't have a photograph of him. Whereas Papa's skin was dark, Mama Min's was very light because her father was an Irishman. Portia stayed quiet while they folded the clothes. Then Mama Min spoke. Krishna, come and plug in my computer, please. Sorry about that, ladies and gents, boys and girls. So Portia stayed quiet while they folded the clothes. Then Mama Min spoke. "Heed your grandpa. I know in my heart you will ascend to great heights." Mama Min squeezed Portia's hand, looked her in the eyes, and told her to keep the dream to herself. "But never forget it. You are special." After dinner, Portia found one of her old exercise books. She wrote what her grandfather and her mother had said. "I shall always keep good company and help others," Portia pledged. Like, this little girl has some huge dreams. She has made a lot of promises to herself, and I'll just say she has lived to achieve them. As a little girl, these, oh my word. So again, yesterday we spoke about believing in yourself, thinking that you're a winner. And you can because you're a Jamaican, and we'll talk about that afterwards. But Krisha knows what I'm talking about because I read the book before to her, before deciding to share it with you guys. So ladies and gents, boys and girls, we have to remember that we need to encourage our dreams and working towards making them a reality, right? Now, chapter 11, Portia helps out, and this is where things are getting even more interesting as we close off the book. So Portia truly loved meeting and talking with people. As a preteen, she went with her Mama Min around the neighborhood where Min talked to neighbors and asked what they needed to improve their lives. A few times, Mama Min traveled to Spanish Town to talk to strangers, and she allowed Portia, who was almost 12, to accompany her. Some Saturday afternoons, people from around the community would gather at Portia's home for community meetings. What's the name of the community again? Very good. Although her parents sent her to play, Portia wanted to listen to the adult conversations. She understood what they said about improving the community and encouraging children, especially girls, to continue their education so they could take care of themselves and be independent. Portia liked that idea because she was very unhappy about the restrictions on girls. It's like Krishna saying, asking the questions when I read the book, why is it that girls couldn't do so many things? But that was it. Back then, girls were only allowed to take care of the home, and boys, the males, and I think I said that in chapter 1 to 6, were allowed to go out. So it was different back then, but times have evolved, and girls, females can do practically the same thing as boys or males. So things have evolved. So one day, Miss Evelyn, who used to take the meeting notes, was absent. Papa asked for a volunteer. Many persons could not read very well, and everyone sat quiet. No, I want us to understand that back then, prior to the 80s, a lot of people were illiterate in Jamaica, like a lot. Now, fast forward to the 21st century, we're now in 2024, you still have illiteracy amongst people. but not necessarily stone illiterate. So stone illiterate is when somebody can't read none at all. Sand illiterate is when you can say your name, you can not just say your name, but you can write your name, you can say a few things, you can write a few letters, stuff like that. So a lot of people back then were stone illiterate, and because of all my research and the love I have for history is the reason why I fell in love with something Jamaica had a long time ago, Jamaica Foundation for Lifelong Learning. And I had a passion for it because a lot of Jamaicans I have come across were illiterate, either stone illiterate or sand illiterate. So yeah, they couldn't take the notes, right? But this was an opportunity for Portia. So Papa saw Portia nearby pretending to be playing hopscotch, as she often did whenever there were meetings, but Papa knew she was always listening. Miss P, Papa called. Miss Evelyn is here. We need someone to take notes. Papa looked around at the adults. They stared at her. Sorry, Portia looked around at the adults. They stared at her. My eyes are growing dim now. I'm tired. All right, so she looked from one to the other as they all nodded their heads. She pushed back her shoulders and straightened her back. She's getting her confidence, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Mama Min encouraged her. I know you can do it, Portia. Run and get one of your exercise books and pencils and come. Portia dashed into the house, now full of enthusiasm. When she returned, Papa patted an empty spot beside him on the bench. Portia sat, looked around at the group, and opened the exercise book. Write down everybody's name, Mama Min told her. She gave Portia a "you can do it" look. So if you're a parent or if you're a child, you should be able to know that your parents have this "you can do it" look. And if you're a child, you know that look because you know, yeah, you know, I can do it, I got this, right? That's sort of look. So this meeting is called to order. Papa said, Papa, must I write that too? Portia asked, yes, Portia. You must write down everything we say. Portia had witnessed many times how people got excited and talked over other people's voices. She wanted to be sure to record all they said. Old Timothy chimed up, you're a smart girl, Portia. I know you will take good notes. It's like the community, they also love her. They know she's a bright girl. She's going to do well. So they're boosting her. Yes, we believe in you. You're going to do a good
And
job.
that's why she turned into our first female prime minister.
Very good,
And
Krishna.
she's 78.
Yes,
No.
she is.
She's
Yes, ma'am. Yes. All right. So Portia concentrated so hard her face dripped in sweat. Some persons spoke quickly, others spoke slowly, and went on and on. After what felt like hours, the meeting ended. After everyone left, Portia sat at the dining table going over her notes, making sure she had included everything that was said. Her head pounded. Later that night, she tossed and turned in bed. I can imagine the work. At the next meeting, Portia was asked to read her notes. She read in a crisp, clear voice. When she had finished, everyone applauded. Miss Evelyn said Portia should continue taking notes as her arthritis was making it hard for her to write. Young Portia continued to take notes at the gatherings at her parents' home until she moved to Kingston for high school. As she took notes, Portia listened carefully to what was said and knew she wanted to help with some of the projects, especially those that involved women and girls. She wanted to help them to stand shoulder to shoulder with men. And when I finish reading chapter 12, ladies and gents, boys and girls, I'm going to read some accomplishments that are in the book, so y'all can see, well, hear rather, but Portia had a vision. She had a wild imagination, and she was going to achieve them. And that's something that I love. So ladies and gents, boys and girls, keep dreaming, keep believing in yourself. You are enough. You are worthy. You are a winner. Even if you're not a Jamaican, you can do it. And if you're a Jamaican, you can do it. You have to believe in yourself. Portia did. She had a good support system, and she was able to, right? So Portia takes the next step, and I'm very fascinated with this part because I can understand how she got into politics, like fully. Always admire this woman. I overall admire females doing big things. Yeah, call me one of those people. Yeah, whatever. All right, so chapter 12. One day, Portia was sitting on the veranda in her father's rocking chair, trying to think of something special she could do to help her community. Suddenly, a loudspeaker broke the silence. The noise came from the town crier's van, which was being driven through the village. The town crier was inviting everyone to come out and listen to Chief Minister Norman Manley speak. Portia sprang off the chair and ran to the gate. She wanted to make sure she heard it correctly. Sure enough, over the loudspeaker, the man's voice commanded, "Come one, come all, and hear Chief Minister Norman Manley speak." Portia rushed inside. "Mama Min, did you hear the man just now? Can we please go? Can we please go?" Her mother was busy and had not heard the town crier. "Miss Ted, calm down. I don't have the time right now." "But Mama Min," Portia insisted, "the man over the loudspeaker said we should all come to hear this important man." "Well, I don't have the time for that right now, so ask Papa when he comes home," Mama Min replied. All day, Portia practiced with her brothers and sisters how to ask Papa to take her. Ted Roy told her she had to be persuasive. Sister number 3 said she should wait until after Papa bathed and ate his dinner. Ezekiah told her to make Papa a tall glass of lemonade sweetened with molasses. I don't know how that would taste because I don't like molasses, but y'all can let me know if you have ever tried lemonade sweetened with molasses. Portia was excited, but she was worried whether she would be able to attend. However, she was determined to go. She was at the gate when her papa returned from the field. "Did you have a good day, Papa?" Portia asked, walking beside him to the house. She sat beside him at the dinner table and thanked him for being such a good papa. So it's like she buttering him up, trying to sweet him up. After dinner, Papa went to sit on the veranda in his rocking chair. Portia brought him lemonade in his favorite glass. She sat quietly, even though her heart was beating hard and fast against her chest. She was determined to attend the rally. She remembered what Ted Roy said about being persuasive. Just as she was about to broach the subject, Papa spoke. "I hear that Chief Minister Manley will be speaking soon." Portia could not contain herself anymore. "Papa, please take me to hear him. Maybe Chief Minister Manley will tell us how to improve our community." Papa sat up in the chair and looked at Portia, then stared off into the darkness. Portia reached out and held Papa's hand. "Papa, if we go, we are sure to learn something to share with the others at the next meeting." So she wants to go so badly. She just needs her dad to believe that she should go, right? So Papa handed his glass to Portia. "Portia, you are right. We must learn something from the great man. I'm going to take you." Portia hugged Papa tightly, then drained the last of the lemonade. Papa took Portia to hear Minister Manley speak. When they arrived, there was such a massive crowd that Portia could not see the people on the platform. She squeezed to the front and waved at the speaker. The next thing she knew, someone hoisted her onto the platform. Mr. Manley lifted her high in the air and turned her to the crowd. "She is our future." The crowd cheered. Yes, Norman Manley is one of our heroes.
He was this time.
Yes, Portia met him.
Yes, so you're telling me that he died and then Portia is still alive?
Because he's older than Portia, and remember, once someone is alive, they will die at some point.
We didn't get to see him for real. Sorry, like that.
All right. So as Portia walked home that evening with her father, she could not stop singing, I am the future. Imagine someone, this man who they're calling the chief minister, Norman Manley, and he's now saying to you, you are the future. What does that mean? Aren't you going to be excited? Trust me, I'd be so excited.
And I would be so excited
Yes.
if I was Portia, I'd be so excited.
Yes. No, children, you are the future of tomorrow, right? So you have to remember that. So, Papa, what does that mean? She paused to ask. Now, remember, Portia does not normally ask questions, but no, she's curious because remember, she's curious, Portia. So that's what your mama and I have been telling you for a long time, said Papa. No, that important man, Chief Minister Manley said the same thing. You will make a difference. Portia vowed to herself at that moment that she would work hard and make her parents and her entire community proud of her. Mama Min, Papa, and Mr. Manley's words stayed with Portia as she grew older. She moved to Kingston for high school, where she lived with her sister Jirel. After high school, Portia attended secretarial school and worked hard to excel. She became the fastest student at writing in short time. Now, I want us to know that she would have achieved this because she was already taking notes at age 12. When Portia heard about political meetings she attended, on August 6, 1962, when Jamaica gained independence, Portia celebrated with other Jamaicans waving the miniature green, black, and gold flag and singing the national anthem. That evening, when Portia got home, she took out a piece of paper and wrote the word Jamaican in large block letters. As she looked at the word, the message, I can, stared back at her. Remember, Jamaican, Jamaican, I can. I can, Portia said out loud. She jumped up. I am a Jamaican and I can, she said excitedly. We all can. At that moment, all she had learned at home, in school and church, and all the promises she had made were there in front of her in the word Jamaican. Portia vowed to herself that she would continue to work hard and one day would make not only her parents, but many other people proud of her. Mama Min's words served as a guide. If you're doing something, do it well. Everything you do has a consequence, so make sure you do it right. The only time you should look down on someone is if you're going to lift them up. This became Portia's mantra. And ladies and gents, boys and girls, I'm going to read this back because this is very powerful and it can serve as someone else's guide. If you're doing something, do it well. Everything you do has a consequence, so make sure you do it right. The only time you should look down on someone is if you're going to lift them up. It's very amazing. I will say it's a beautiful book. I don't know, what are your thoughts if you have listened to chapter 1 to 6 and then coming back here to listen to chapter 7 to 10. It's amazing. I really, really love it. I'd love to hear y'all's feedback. I know it's long, but y'all can understand. Right? It's a good book. So quickly, achievements of Portia Lucretia Simpson-Miller. She was born December 12, 1945 in Woodhall, St. Catherine. During the period of 1976 to 2017, she was a member of parliament for Southwest St. Andrew from the People's National Party. From 1978 to 2006, she was vice president for the People's National Party. Between 1989 to 1993, Minister of Labor, Welfare, and Sport. 1993 to 1995, Minister of Labor and Welfare. 95 to 2000, Minister of Labor, Social Security, and Sport. 2000 to 2002, Minister of Tourism and Sport. 2002 to 2006, Minister of Local Government and Sport. 2005 to 2017, President, the People's National Party. Between March 2006 to September 2007, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Jamaica's first female Prime Minister. 2011, she was named the Gleaner Person of the Year. Between January 5, 2012 to March 3rd, 2016, she was Prime Minister of Jamaica right before the Most Honorable Andrew Holness took office. And in 2012, Time magazine named her as one of the 100 most influential persons in the world. It's a beautiful book. I love it. I hope you guys love it. So, Krishna, what do you have to say? What are the lessons you learned from the book?
I learned that we can win, we can win, I can win, we can win as well. And I also know that there is a book called I Can and We Can.
Very good. All right. What did you learn from Portia's story? And Krishna rolls her eyes like, oh my God. But what did you learn? Quickly, because we have to wrap up.
I learned that when you go to school, you don't have to run away. You just go into the class and noise like Portia. She went to school and she said, Papa, come back, Papa, come back. And she looked around. No one was there, so she was saying, oh no, everybody got home. And she ran home.
Okay.
Away too.
All right. So Krishna is saying that you should stay at school so you can learn the golden rules.
And the other day when I went to school, I saw that my classmates were outside instead of inside. And I said, what are you doing outside? They said that school was time for devotion. And I didn't say, okay, I can put the bed and go back home. I didn't say that. I went and waited until devotion time came.
Okay.
I went to the school and said, okay, I'm going to throw my bag here and I'm going home with everything.
Okay. All right. So Krishna is being very dramatic right there, but it was really good interacting with you guys. Please leave your feedback, leave your comments. Appreciate it. Again, Portia's Dreams, written by Opal Palmer Adisa, illustrated. The book was illustrated by Wayne Powell. Over all the images in this presentation were done specifically by me. Really love the book.
Subscribe and hit that.
Yes, please subscribe and hit that notification bell, as Krishna said. Let us hear your feedback, what you thought about the book. Hopefully I'll be able to drop other books. I do have a few books here that I want to read, but again, it does take time to get these images up. So yeah, let's see what's gonna happen for another set of books to be read. Have yourself a good one. Thank you guys for listening. I know it's pretty long, but y'all survived. Don't worry. Thank y'all. Reading is fun. We all survived, right? Thank you all. See you all. It's Auntie Katie and Anne. Bye.